Hello, hello, hello. Checking, check, check, check. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. Check, check. My audio system sucks, man. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to set this up. I told you I was new. I told you my setup is ghetto. This is like the most ghetto setup ever. I'm probably, as far as Twitch is concerned, I am probably the most disproportionate as far as a professional artist with unprofessional tools and setup. But hey, that's okay. It's all about the art, right? Thank you. Are you going to be up all night? Might as well. I like the way you think. Sleep when we're dead, right? So Jesse, are you a full-time artist, or are you student, or what's the situation with you, man? Full-time? What are you going to school for? Art? Hello, welcome all viewers. Thank you, Henry, for hosting. Ah, going to the School of Visual Arts. I've heard of that. Yeah? I did that just for you. Lego my egg roll. I can enlarge it too. Look at that. I'm essentially done with this drawing, but I'm just noodling with it. I can show you a more complete one if I turn on the layers. But I'm drawing every element here separately because these are going to be separated into individual drawings as well. I should be really done with this piece by now. As you guys have seen ever since I started Twitch. Look how slow I am. But I'm going to turn off these front characters and just finish up this one in the back. And then I will start to color it tonight. Hi, Vio. How are you? Hello. For those of you wondering, I'm using Clip Studio Paint for my drawing, and then I will transfer in a little bit here over to Photoshop. The drawing is essentially done. I'm just noodling right now. Really, these extra lines mean absolutely nothing, but I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it because it'll fake people into thinking that there's more detail than there really is. But it's not. It's all a trick. And sorry in advance to people just joining us, my audio quality is not that great because I have a very ghetto setup. I just started Twitch and I still don't know how to use it properly. I don't seem to have the right equipment. But like Jesse in the room says, it's all about the art, hopefully. I did appear in one porn magazine. This is not a joke. A decade ago, I had an interview. You can actually, here, let me see if I can post a link. I was actually, no joke, Henry. I don't even know if you know this, Henry. I was interviewed by Club International Porno magazine. Let me see if I can find it for you. And it was for my pinups at the time. Let's see here. See if I can find it here. Ah, here it is. I'll put up the direct link to it. So there's a link. And it's just a 2-page interview and it shows my artwork. And I think my artwork is kind of like, it has nudity on it, but it's my paintings. So. Vio asks, how do you guys draw lines so perfectly? Well, I don't know about that. You know what it is? I mean, I've been in the business for 2 decades now. and I just make really quick strokes. But it's like it's a fine motor skill, so it's like a muscle memory skill. So it's like a sport. So the more you do something, the more coordinated you are at it. Oh, really? Well, nobody on Twitch is watching my channel right now at this hour, I hope, so I will take my chances and leave it up. Unless some of you guys are tattletales. Better not be. But anyway, that is the link to my porn article. Interview. By the way, I have coffee right here. And I have 2 energy drinks from the gas station. Ugh. Oh, really? You know what? I'm going to check out... Well, you know, when I log off, remind me... Don't even remind me, but I'm going to check out... You know, I'm going to go to her channel right now and just leave it in an open tab. And then I'm going to check out your channel. Vio. But for those of you just joining in, this is part of a composite, and I'm drawing each character on a separate layer simply because these are going to be marketed as separate illustrations anyway. So I'm going to turn off this guy, and I will turn on the girl. So this is my character Electricia, and she's going to be my upcoming graphic novel, The Switch. And then I will turn on this guy. This guy's name is Transient, and he's like an astronaut type guy. And then where's my cat? I have a cat in here somewhere. And this is my cat right there. So when you put it all together, it's actually a big group shot. And then in the background, I'm going to kind of digital paint like a waterfall in a cave background. So yeah, I'm going to finish this by morning. I actually need to get this done, so. But I'm going to add a little more density to the lower legs here, because the lines in the lower legs are a little light compared to the dense lines in the upper body. So it's just trying to find a balancing act with line weights. Jesse says reminds him of Starfire. I could see that. Let's see here. Enhance the crotch. Add a little more density, a little more 3D action to the crotch. Hairy crotch. But yeah, so this will be marketed as an exclusive print as well. So it's starting to blend in a little bit better now. And I'll zoom in with doing a little bit of refining. I'm just kind of thinking broadly right now. It's funny, when I was, when I was hanging out with Henry in my stay in California last month, it's just kind of fun because I work really like I work alone, obviously. And when I visited Henry last year and then last month, it was the first time in a long time that I actually got to work alongside or just got to be around someone who also does artwork professionally. and it really, I think it helps with my productivity because it kind of reignites my, like the creative flow, and that's something that it's hard to kind of get into the rhythm of if you work alone all the time like I do. So one of my favorite things to do with Henry is to go to like just a cafe just to draw. And where he lives in California, there's a lot of cafes. There's really not any cafes around here. There's like coffee houses and tea houses around here, but they're like your boring Starbucks. And sometimes I'll go to the mall and I'll work in the food court. But if if and when I move to California, man, it's like it would be like non-stop art action. I could go to a cafe like every day and draw. Yeah, did you guys see that Deathstroke clip that Ben Affleck released yesterday? See, now you guys, I gotta check out Vio's stuff now. Well, not now, but as soon as I'm done streaming. I have a new friend. I have a new Twitch friend who's apparently very powerful in the Twitch universe. Actually, you guys know what's great about digital art? Is when you have to draw something this symmetrical. You know what I did? I literally inked one half of this dude. Like, I literally inked like half of him. And then I copied and pasted it, and then I flipped it horizontally, and then I just did the other half. But I only did the basic outline, and then I flipped it to guarantee symmetry. And then all of this extra noodling, I'm just doing it by hand to kind of not make it look so mechanically symmetrical. You know what I mean? So like all this noodling and extra detail is just non-flipped, obviously. And Henry, I don't know how late you're going to stay up if you actually want to stay up to see how I color. But even if you go to bed, I mean, this is going to be saved anyway, I guess, in my um, channel. So you can always check it out, whenever. I don't really have too much to go here. I'm just, like I said, I'm just noodling here. And I will go to coloring here pretty soon. I love New York City. I've only been there once, like the Manhattan area, like 2 winters ago. I did the touristy thing, like Times Square and everything. But I was like staying right around that area, and I went to visit DC Comics and everything. And man, I love that city vibe. I'm a city guy. If I could afford it, I'd probably move to New York as well. It was funny because I kind of made a joke a couple years ago when I was in New York. and I always thought that New York had the highest ratio of like hot Asian girls. It seemed like to me like one out of every three girls was like amazingly gorgeous, like Asian girls. Well, California has great girls actually, but maybe you haven't spent enough time in New York. Yeah, actually, it's a tough call between California and New York. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about like a state like say Tennessee, which I've been to plenty of times. I'm just gonna do a couple more on the shoulder here. Yeah, Henry, I said that if I build up a decent enough audience by next year, I'm definitely interested in going to TwitchCon next year. I'm just giving this guy a little bit more of a, just a rougher texture, since technically he is supposed to be made out of moss. This is the guy's character's name is Moss. naughty things happen at TwitchCon. Like a big orgy or something like that. One of the best parts about doing digital is the ability to use white ink and draw with it. Because you can do like little textures and highlights with it. You can do it with regular traditional white ink, but it just doesn't have that fluidity. And usually you have to make multiple passes just to get that opacity. And of course, with digital there's no cleanup, no mess. Okay, I think... hang on. I wonder because if I turn on my laptop for music, I could probably control that. I will need your guys' input and help though if I turn on my laptop music. Because I can actually control that a hell of a lot better than controlling my Surface, which is connected to Twitch. Because I can't seem to control the volume whenever I'm going on OBS on my Surface Pro. So, let's see if this will work. If it's too distracting, then I'll just turn it off altogether, but let's see what's going on. Oh, you know what? It's not going to work. I won't explain why, but it won't work. Oh, wait, it might work. So as long as there's some type of ambient noise in the background, but it doesn't overpower my voice, you guys let me know if that's like too distracting, because I'll turn it off. Okay, so this dude is done. I'm gonna save this. That's what I did. I'm playing some music in the background. Can you guys not hear it? I'll turn it up a little bit. Dude, you're like the only other artist I know that has that happen to them when they save the black screen. It's weird. I thought I was the only guy that happens to, but I guess it happens to you too. I don't know why it does that, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter too much. Yeah, I don't know. And the same situation with this drawing. It's basically done. It's a finished drawing. Any more lines I add to this is just noodling and fake detail. And I always tell people, I'm like, don't over render your artwork, because most people that try to put all this extra detail, they do it for the sake of doing it, but there's no rhyme or reason behind it. But you just basically have to follow the form that you've already established with your art. Oh, you're saving straight to a portable drive? I can't even do that here if I wanted to, because I'm already using up the USB port, the single USB port. If there's one thing I wish for this thing, maybe in the next version that I get, it's to have at least two USB ports, because one just isn't cutting it. But oh well. Like I said, I don't think the latest version of or the newest Surface Pro 5 is going to be coming out anytime soon. Hi, Danny. How's it going? Thanks for joining. Hey, mod, can we give Danny a shout out? Actually, I say that, but I don't have a mod. But I'm just copying Henry's techniques. I don't have a mod, and I'm saying mod. Let's give Danny a shout out because I'm pretending like I'm high tech. Such a loser. Hey mods, can we give Henry a shout out? Hey mods, tell everyone to follow Henry. I don't know what a bot is though. I still am trying to learn what a bot is. I think it's like an automatic thing. Hey mods, can we set up a bot for me? Actually, I'm going to try to rush this so then I can start coloring because I think Henry wants to see how I color. Which is probably different than how you color. Everyone has their own different way of coloring. How do I make Lego My Egg Roll a mod? Hey, Lego My Egg Roll, can we get a shout out for Danny and Henry and Vio and everyone? I don't know how to set that up. So you're just going to have to do it manually. Oh, and by the way, this is what I said earlier. This is the one thing I really love about... Oh, I just farted. You guys hear that? This is what I really love about inking digitally with white paint. So check this out. So I'm zooming in on this dude's thighs, right? Well, if I want to... you see how he's got all these like little separations in his, whatever, these coil-like muscle things? Like if I wanted to add like shine to these individual muscles, I'll do something like this, right? I'll draw the shine all the way down the muscle, and then I'll switch to white ink, and then I'll just like highlight, re-highlight the edge of each of those, I don't even know what to call them, coils or separations in the metal. And it kind of gives it more of like a riveted texture, like a raised texture, like that. Now that'd be a pain in the ass to do traditionally, and I used to try to do it traditionally, but no way. So I'm going to do it again here. So I've drawn like the reflection, the faux reflection down each muscle. And then I'm going to go back in with the white. I'm just going to highlight each line, just like so. And to some advanced artists, it's like common sense, but a lot of you guys are kind of wondering how I do that. And there we go. Okay, so Henry's asking, why do I use white instead of erase? That's a good question. You can use either one. The reason why I'm using white is simply because all of the negative spaces in these characters are actually filled in with white. And there's a reason for that. Because let's say I turn on the background monster moss, right? See how the white is actually covering him up because he's in the back? And every character is on its own layer because these characters actually have to be marketed also separately, as opposed to, it's distracting for me if they're not filled in with white to hide what's behind them, because all I'll see is pencil lines right behind them. So that's why I do it, is mostly to separate what I'm seeing. So I'm just trying to make them opaque. So as separate layers, I can move them around. I can even switch them around, the order of them from front to back, and it would still be, it wouldn't mess me up just seeing through them. You know what I mean? Good question. Very good question. So I think I'm basically done with this dude. Oh, Henry, you never told me why you don't have to report to jury duty tomorrow. So you kind of get the day off tomorrow, right? Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. Yeah, but didn't you say you were gonna stream tomorrow during the daytime? Okay, I'm gonna save this dude. I'm done with him. Now I'm gonna move on to the cat. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. It's pretty important. It's for it's for television. I'd say that's pretty important. Street cred, man. You gotta think street cred. Okay, so I'm gonna lock that layer. I'm gonna go straight to the cat, which really doesn't have much to. There's not much I have to do. So I'm done with the cat, and then I think I'm going to leave her alone. She's pretty much good to go. I don't want to put too many lines on it's supposed to be a sexy female character anyway. So, so yeah, so this is basically the print, and then the background's supposed to be like inside a cave, and there's a waterfall inside the cave. But I think I'm not going to try to ink that like line work. I'm just going to do all of that just pure digital like painting, and I'm just going to use a lot of textures and stuff. So I'm going to I don't know if I need to save this. I already did. So I'm going to export this into Photoshop. I'll give you guys also a sneak peek of a couple of pages of my graphic novel I'm working on. So this is Electricia. This is the girl that I was drawing on my other piece. And she has a cat in her apartment. And then she answers the door. She hears a knock on her door. Anyway, so that's that. So let's export this. Export as a Photoshop document. Yeah, I mean, well, I think actually technically more people on TV will see your work. They won't get a good look at our work on TV, but if we're just counting pure numbers, more people will see your work on TV. But the difference is the TV doesn't give you a long look at your work, and it doesn't really give like the credits right there. But yeah, you're right. You know, in a sense, if it was a print comic book, yeah, you might target the audience much better. But no, for the Con print, there's not more. There's just those are just from my actual graphic novel, my Kickstarter graphic novel. Man, this takes forever to export PSD. It's a large file, I guess. Look at that, it blacks out for the second time. So I'm going to open up Photoshop. Yeah, we could tell you the show. The show is Big Brother. It's that reality show on CBS, and they're winding down the season right now. So Henry and I are two artists. I think they have more. They usually do. That are going to do some drawings. The last two seasons there was a superhero episode. Yep, it's a reality show. And one of their final episodes and one of the challenges, they actually had their cast members be drawn as superhero stuff. So they're going to do that again. Let's turn this Clip Studio Paint off so then I don't hog up as much memory. Oh man, I'm paranoid. Did I save it? Gotta save it again just to make sure. Alright, let's open this thing. Yeah, you know, I wouldn't take it too personally, Henry. It's not changing your style as far as I'm concerned. They like the style. I think it's just more like your style. I think in their eyes, kind of it's like it doesn't help the likeness in their eyes. Like they maybe think that that style is, you know, they the style is by nature more of like a cartoony anime style. So there's a certain set of lines and the features in the face where I don't know. It's hard to explain, but um, yeah. I mean, you know how it is, brother. You know how it is in the professional art industry, man. You're gonna have editors and execs and stuff like that. Just ask for things, and it's up to you to decide if you want to play along or not. And it happens to all of us. Happens to me a lot. They'll ask me to change things that I sometimes just flat out don't agree with. But that's the game. Okay, so I'm in Photoshop right now, and I'm trying to decide my plan of attack here. Maybe I'll color the background guy first. So I'll turn off the layers of the people in front. So I'm going to put a layer. Actually, this layer should be underneath. I'm going to title this Flats. Let's see how this goes. I think I was going to try a different coloring technique for fun, but I don't know. Maybe I just want to get this done. I have Card Wars in the background as ambient. Adventure Time Card Wars. Let's give it this color. I can't do that. So I'm just using the pencil tool, and I'm just doing the base color, which is, he's a moss guy, so he's like green, and I'm just kind of using my pencil tool to outline all of the areas that are going to be green, which is basically his entire body, so he actually makes my coloring very easy. And the reason why I outline big blocky sections of the same color, it's simple, because all I have to do after I outline it is just use the paint bucket and it's all filled in. Some people use a selection tool to do this. Some people use a pen tool To me, it's just as easy, if not easier, just to use that color with a pen and just draw it in. Because with the pen tool, you still have to like manipulate it to get it to curve the way you want it to. You can actually make pressure with it. I turned the pressure off. I use the pencil tool because when I am doing flats, I save the flats as a separate layer. When I'm using the pencil tool, I don't want gradients. When I'm doing flats, I don't want gradients. So the pencil tool is the easiest way to not have any gradients. It's either that color or nothing. So I use it and that's for coloring. When I'm doing inking in Photoshop, which I don't anymore, I use Clip Studio Paint, I also use the pencil tool for that reason. Now when I start to do my gradients and texturing and rendering, then I switch to brushes. But when it's strictly flats, it's pencil tool. So if I were to try to do this with brushes, I mean, yeah, I can outline the entire thing and paint bucket it, but when you paint bucket it, you might get some little faint gaps because the edges of the stroke are going to be a little bit gradient, if that makes sense. And I can go through this fairly quickly this way. But sometimes I'll color everything on the same layer, just as long as you do the flats first and you save that selection. You save the flats as a selection. Then you can always go back to that selection of flats only, even if you have done renders on top of it. You know, there's just like so many different. I think like every artist will give you like a different way to color. And for me, it's like the fastest and most efficient way for me to do it sometimes. But I feel like experimenting with this one. We'll see. Because too, you have to realize that by coloring all on the same layer too, the advantage there is that you're not being a resource hog. Because the more layers you have, obviously, the more of a resource hog the computer will be on your files. Or your files will be on your computer, rather. Okay, so I think I outlined it all, so it's just a matter of I take a paint bucket tool and it should fill it all in quickly. Well, let's see how quick it is on this stupid computer. What? Uh-oh. It filled the entire thing. What does that mean? That means that I left a gap somewhere. Where did I leave it? Let's turn this off and see. Oh, I see. See, down here. And here. Oh, and up here too. Jeez, I suck. Okay, let's try it now. This should work. Oh! The hell did I do? The thing was, here it is. It's so sensitive to like the tiniest pixel. That's the difference between Photoshop and Clip Studio Paint. Like, Clip Studio Paint will actually close those gaps if it sees a tiny gap. But with Photoshop, you have to be like spot on and make sure everything is enclosed. I think I got everything. Okay, let's try it now. This has to be it. There we go. Got it. Finally. So there's two things you can do with this flat layer for those who care to want to know about my process. One thing you can do is if you just select that color, actually, you select that color, although I don't know why there's a little bit of a hole there. You can actually save that, where it says save selection. And you can say flat green or something. Or if you don't do that, what you can do is if you go to that layer, you can click on the lock, and that kind of locks in that layer. It locks in that color. So when you try to color outside it, so let's say I take a black marker and I try to do some rendering inside it, I can color inside it, but it won't go outside that area that I flattened, which is great. Makes it easy. See? So you don't have to be so precise when you're rendering. And all I did there was I went over here and then I just hit the lock on that layer. So that's rather nice. Maybe I should color his eyes or something. And I forgot to color his hair up here. So after each step I make a habit to save. So I'm going to save this document because I have lost work before. And it sucks. It is nothing more frustrating than when the computer or the program crashes on you. I'm on Photoshop CC right now. Nothing is perfect. This machine is not perfect, unfortunately. I have lost a lot of work that I had to redo. It is not fun, let me tell you. Okay, so I'm done with that dude. I'm going to turn him off for now. Well, maybe you just want to see me color him. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll color him. And then I might take a break and stop streaming after I color this guy. I think maybe Henry just wants to see how I color. Which is really no big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the base color and I'm just going to select a darker version of it. And I'm going to go to a brush but I'm going to probably try to find one with texture here. I've got all these different brushes and textures. Oh, this one might work. That one might work. Since he's made out of moss, I kind of want to give him like a rough mossy texture. Let's give this one a try. See what it looks like. It might work. I'll play with it for a little bit. I want to go a little bit darker. I always like to go a little bit too dark because I'm turning on the pressure sensitivity up here. So then I can always... I don't necessarily want size at this stage yet. I just want pressure sensitivity. I'm just kind of dabbing areas. So I go dark first and then I'll do highlights second. That's how I do it. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of sculpting more. Just building up some dimension, being aware of light sources, yada yada yada. So I can already see it's starting to have a little bit more dimension. Just through the power of shading. And like I said, since I locked the layer, I don't have to worry about straying outside the lines. I don't have to be as careful, which is great. Anyone still alive in the room here? I don't see anyone chatting. Unless my chat is not working anymore. Everyone's quiet. But no, the hard part for me is the drawing is done. And coloring is kind of like, I kind of zone out. It's kind of therapeutic for me. You know, just kind of... It's really easy, because the same way with drawing, when I do the flats, for the most part the coloring is done after the flats, and everything now is just embellishing. I mean, I would never realistically leave it as flats, because it does look quite boring and dated, but, you know, the hard part is over. And I noticed too, like, if you use a texture brush, like my fan is like on, and I don't know if you guys can hear my fan, but it's going on right now. Texture brushes take up more resources. It's a little harder on the processor than just your normal brush or pencil. I see Danny's still alive. I think Henry probably fell asleep. Just like that other time last week, where he just kind of fell asleep and he never logged off. I got my two fingers constantly on the brackets here on the keyboard, so that's how I adjust my size. So if you hear some tapping, that's me adjusting the size at will. Highly recommend learning hotkeys and using them. It will make your life so much easier. Now when I go in with the highlights, you will really see this start to pop. The most boring part, for me, the tedious part is actually doing the flats. You Lego my girl, no problem if you're lurking. Still makes me look like I have more viewers, you know. Is Jesse still in here? He's logged out. So it's looking so far, looking pretty good. Battery is running low. Crap, I forgot to plug in my battery. Give me a second while I do that. Okay, got the battery in. Okay, now I'm pretty sure Henry is sleeping. Because it's 3 o'clock a.m. his time. Even though it's 5 a.m. my time. Okay, so I'm going to save this. And I'm gonna start doing highlights. Save? Did I save this? Oop, might be too strong. I'm using the same texture brush. It's kind of like this rough, kind of like a foliage type brush. But you see how just putting like a little bit highlights here and there, like specular highlights and stuff, kind of makes it pop a little bit. It's too bright, yeah. And just with 3 colors, so the base flat, which is like the mid-tone green that I have, and then 1 dark shade green, and now just the highlight green. Just with those 3 colors. Oops. And by using pressure sensitivity, you can actually sculpt a pretty convincing, like a 3D sculpture, like a structure, giving a lot of form to the character. So you just gotta follow the form of your lines, and keep in mind where your light source is. I have a very basic, simple light source, which is kind of above and center, going downward. And you can tell already in the shoulders and stuff. My final step in here, I'll be adding a kind of like a backlight or rim light, and I'll probably do like a bluish tint, keeping in mind the background will be kind of like the bluish waterfall. You really don't want to overdo the highlights on every single striation. Even if you just kind of suggest it with like little dabs of specular highlights, then that gets your point across pretty easily. Thanks, Danny. I appreciate it, man. Kind of a long way from where I started last week, huh? Okay, now moving down to the legs. Maybe I'll just highlight his, add some highlight to his crotch, his hairy crotch. I designed these characters to have fun drawing them. So just going through every muscle and just kind of rendering it individually, just to kind of, you know, keep the lighting consistent. So I think I'm gonna go in with the eyes. I messed that up. I'll just do the highlights first, or the backlighting first with the blue. So I'm gonna save this. Always remember to save. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with the blue now. Just a light blue on the same layer. Of course, the layer is locked down, so I don't have to, since I'm going around the outer edges of the sky. Thank you, Danny. Remember, since I locked down the layer, I'm not afraid of overlapping the outer edge of the sky. I can just since this is mostly backlighting, I can just kind of go in and just kind of highlight the outside, kind of give that extra little dimension. And I do this in my photography too. I'm really big on backlight in photography. Kind of just gives it more pop. And I'll do a little bit in the reflected light underneath his pecs, but it won't be as prominent. A lot of the lighting that I kind of picked up as far as technique is actually from photography. That's why I think I enjoy photography so much, is because it kind of it's also visual, and it's a good, to me, I feel it's a good complement to art, because photography is about learning lighting and color balance and color temperature. So I definitely flip-flop those techniques. Henry's back. You missed all the important parts. I knew you fell asleep, man, because you did that last week. Henry's back from the dead. Henry, you should just get some sleep. Come back tomorrow. This will be saved anyway to my stream, so you can always rewatch it. Did you fall asleep at the table, at the desk? You put your head down at your desk and you fall asleep? Man. That's hardcore. What? I think I'm pretty much done with this. Oh, I'm going to give some dimension to the eyes. That means I have to switch back to a normal brush. That's good enough. For this character, anyway. So, so this is my character, Moss. I'm going to save this. And I will probably log out for the night. So I'll try to be back tomorrow. But I just want to thank all of you guys who are still awake, who are still here. Thanks for joining me. And I had a lot of fun. I know I should try to stream more often. So anyway, this will be up, I'm sure, on my page, on my profile page. I might export this to YouTube as well. So thank you to everybody. If you're still awake, bye Danny. Have a good night. Bye everyone else who's probably lurking or falling asleep. I'm out.